started to go wrong. There were times that I had leant a little bit too far back and landed awkwardly on my side or shoulder, or when I got lost in the dive and would be flailing through the air without knowing which way was up and which way was down. One day, I landed graciously on my back with an almighty smack, and on another, I wrenched my neck. My confidence had been slowly chipped away. The possibilities of what could go wrong lurked like shadows in the back of my mind. I had made it through the prelims and the semis of the individual event, and the numbers had been whittled down from 32 divers to 18 and then to 12. The reigning Olympic champion, Matthew Mitchum, had finished in an agonizing 13th place in the semis. It can happen. One bad dive of 6 and you were out. But I was still in the game. My prelim was one of my worst performances in competitions for a long time, and I'd finished 15th out of 18 places. As the pressure mounted, there had been an uplift in the numbers across the board, as each of the competitors bettered our last performance and the scores crept up. But regardless of the numbers, those earlier competitions were over with, and at that moment, they were no longer important. It was always just about making it to the finals. Each dive was a completely independent event. I knew at the end of those 6 dives, I would either be an Olympic medalist or not. I took off, rolling into a twist, twisting 2.5 times with one arm across my body and the other to my head, before rolling into a sharp and precise pike position to somersault 2.5 times forward. In my dives, I have to be hypervigilant and spot the water. I need to see everything in order to count the rotations so I know where my body is in the air. I'm not just spinning in one direction. There are a lot of movements going on at once, and I need to keep every part of my body in the right place at the right millisecond, like an innate internal compass. There is not an opportunity to think about anything else but precisely what I am doing in that instant. At that moment, my focus has to be razor sharp. There is no space to blink or even breathe. The world whizzes by in a somewhat organized blur. I often see other things as I rotate or twist. Faces, flashes of wall, posters, but I can always spot the water. And I need to. It is the one constant in every diving pool. As I spun and tried to spot the pool, I was blinded by a sudden and disarming white flash of cameras. The flashes sliced across my vision. I blinked, and there is no time to blink in that 1.6 seconds. I was confused and my brain felt dislocated from my body. I landed slightly short, not really knowing what had happened. As I entered the water, I was not vertical. It felt a bit messy, and I knew that it wasn't great. As I climbed out of the water, I gestured to my coach, Andy Banks, and he could see what had happened. I felt a wave of anger and injustice roll over me. I'd worked so hard for that moment, and someone had inadvertently ruined my chances. The spectators at any diving competition are always told not to use flash photography. On that day, maybe they didn't realize the importance of this instruction. Perhaps they did not realize their flashes were clicked on. Or possibly some people's cameras had gone off automatically. It was impossible to know why. The scores had come up on the board. It was unanimous 7s and an overall score of 75.6. Certainly not enough to give me a chance at one of the top medals. Andy walked over to the referee and, after a few moments, called me over too. I had never in my entire diving career, up until that point, or since, had to do this. I was terrified. I almost didn't know what had happened, like the moment had been wiped from my brain, and I struggled to relay it to him. I felt almost winded. The referee looked at me. I get that there's a home crowd advantage, and I've got people cheering for me, but this is like a home crowd disadvantage, I said breathlessly, trying to convey my point without getting too emotional. They're clearly not turning camera flashes off. I was massively distracted all the way through that dive, and can you please tell them to turn it off to not ruin it for any other divers? What are you asking? He raised his tanned eyebrows. Please, can we have a redive? Andy chipped in. For a moment, I felt guilty. Everyone, the crowd, the other divers on the poolside, their teams, was waiting for me. And was I making too much of a fuss about it? Maybe I should just accept it as bad luck. One of those things that was outside of...